you know that your girl hates to cook. A chef, I am not. I do not enjoy it. I have no interest in getting better at it. And with that said, inside Ignite, our signature 12-week program, of course we have recipes, right? How could you have a nutrition based company without some recipes? And every single recipe that we have, I have hired someone to help me put together. Because when people say to me, hey, Rachel, can you give me a recipe for this? My answer is you are barking up the wrong tree. You do not want my recipes because number one, they don't exist. And number two, they're about the equivalent of a recipe that a 3-year-old would put together with their little kitty knives in the kitchen. So, in today's episode, it feels appropriate that we're talking about how to hit your macros when you hate to cook. Check it out. Number one is a meal prep service. And that sounds so simple, but a lot of people don't think of it. There are tons of meal prep services out there that are not crazy expensive. If you think about what you spend in groceries and you swap it for a meal prep service, because essentially that cash is going to be replaced by this cash, it's not drastically different for a lot of people. Obviously, that depends on your family size and how many meals a day you're doing. But I think sometimes people hear that and jump straight to that's expensive. Run the numbers. Let the data speak for itself. Sometimes it's not that bad. What I love about a lot of these meal prep services are a lot of them are macro specific. So you can actually customize your meals to if you're looking for protein heavy, if you're looking for less carb, which I don't ever want someone doing low carb, but maybe you want to fill in your carbs with snacks, not with the meals. Whatever specifications you want, the vast majority of these meal prep companies now, you can specify. Real quickly, if you need some help with protein, one of my favorite guides that I have out there is called 8 Ways to Add Protein to Meals You're Already Eating, and it even includes a whole bunch of vegan and vegetarian options. You can go to mindstrongfitness.com/protein guide or just use the link in the comments below to grab your copy. Now, let's get back to the episode. And those go to extremes, right? You've got the companies where they have pre-designed meals that they'll show you the macros, and you can filter by low carb, high protein, gluten-free, whatever the case may be. And there are even meal prep companies that are macro specific. Like I want 30 grams of protein. I'm going to do 6 ounces of chicken and I'm going to do 1 cup of rice and I want a cup of veggies. Like you can customize to that level. So if you're someone who hates to cook, this is what I used to do when I was single and I was not going to cook for myself, and it was either not eat all day or get some help somewhere. I used to use a meal prep service. My kind of hack for those, the most expensive part is the shipping, right? Because they're trying to keep the food fresh, so it's overnight shipping. So I would buy in 2-week batches and just freeze them. Not exactly ideal because now you're basically having microwave foods, and we all know microwaved chicken isn't the greatest. And if you're trying to be cost effective, which back then I was, it was about, I say back then just because I don't use them anymore. Then I would order 2 weeks at a time and just kind of freeze them. But I love a meal prep service because then if you're busy, right? And then, by the way, even if you are someone who loves to cook, it's still a great idea because if you're busy and you're working all the time and you don't have time to pause and make lunch, you just grab it, you heat it up. Maybe you don't do a full week. Maybe you just do a few days at a time. You can keep them in the fridge. They're a little bit more fresh. So if you hate to cook, meal prep service is a fantastic way to go, especially in this day and age. We've got tons of options for how specific we can be. Option 2 and 3 kind of go together. Meals don't have to be complex. Like there are 2 meals that I can cook, and that is eggs with some sourdough toast or a bagel or whatever I'm going to do on the side, and pasta. I love chickpea pasta, lentil pasta. They tend to be higher in protein. I can cook those 2 things. So if I am going to be left up to my own devices and cook, I'll have eggs at, I'd say in the morning, but it's usually more like mid-afternoon by the time I get to it. So I'll make myself some eggs and sourdough toast, let's call it for ease of conversation. And then if I'm still up to my own devices and I have to cook for myself, I'll make some pasta for dinner. Then here's why 2 and 3 go in together. I'm going to fill in the day with snacks. I personally, as someone who hates to cook and someone who works a lot, I rely heavy on snacks. When we go to the supermarket or we order Instacart and it's like, what do we need? And 80% of my order is my go-to snacks. So I'm always looking for higher protein snacks. I have episodes about this in the past. I love like dried edamame. I am someone who will do protein bars and shakes now and then. I love having fruit in the house because it's a great way to get carbs in with with fiber, with vitamins, with minerals. So, and I don't have to cook it. I can grab a banana and come right back to my office, right? I can eat a banana while I'm typing. So the way that I hit my macros, I don't use meal prep services anymore. Um, if I were left up to my own devices for weeks at a time, I would go back to that. I will do one simple meal, maybe two simple meals in a day, and then I'll fill in the rest of the day with snacks. The other thing I love about snacks is it gives you a lot of freedom and flexibility, right? It's a lot easier to be like, well, I have 12 grams of protein left. And again, I'm getting in the weeds here. So if you're new to macros, like plug your ears, ignore this part, right? But if I only have 12 grams of protein left at the end of the day, that's a lot easier to fill with snacks than how do I balance my dinner plate to hit my macros? So snacks just have a lot more flexibility with it. The last thing I'll say, and I'm going to kind of tie all three of these together, the meal prep, simple meals, and snacks, is even in the days that I was doing meal prep, I only got, I think, one or two meals a day. I did not do breakfast through them because I can make eggs and I like eggs. I would do either lunch and dinner or even just dinner some days because here's where it ties in. I would fill in the rest with simple meals like my eggs and snacks. I've always been a person, I'm saying the word snacks a lot, but I've always been a person who relies heavy on snacks to fill it in because it's super simple. It's grab and go. I can sit at my desk. I don't have to think about it. And with time, you learn your go-to snacks. And then they introduce something new or a friend tells you about a new one and you're like, oh, that sounds delicious and simple. And you add in a new snack. I'm not going to go too deep down the snack rabbit hole because I have lots of podcasts on it in past episodes, but there's these little packets of like dried edamame that I love. Dried chickpeas are fantastic. You can get them with some like flavoring, which are delicious. Again, I'll grab a protein bar in a pinch. I'll grab a protein shake in a pinch. You heard me say I love fruit. All these little simple, easy things that help me hit my macros. So quick and punchy today. If you are someone who hates to cook, the question I get a lot is, can I still do macros? The answer is, yeah, preach into the choir. If I can do it for over a decade, you can do it too. I love a meal prep service to get more of a heartier meal in, so we're not relying on simple meals and snacks. If that's not in the cards for you, simple meals will do the trick. You can tweak and adjust them, right? If you are someone who eats eggs, add some extra egg whites in there. It's a great way to get more protein. If you're someone who doesn't do eggs, you can make a tofu scramble, right? These simple meals can be beefed up, so to speak, pretty easily. And then my lifeline, the way that I live life, no matter if I'm using simple meals or meal prep or not, is finding, and by the way, your snacks do not have to be protein based. And most of us struggle the most with getting protein in, which is why I lean heavy in that direction. But obviously, you heard me mention fruit. That is a carb-based snack. The more variety of snacks you can have, the less bored you're going to get, and then you can pick and choose depending on which macro you need to fill for the day. So can you do macros if you hate to cook? I'm living, breathing proof. The answer is absolutely yes.